Carl Chapek wrote Rossum's Universal Robots in 1921. It was the first time that any piece of media ever used the word robot. There was a revolution going on in Czechoslovakia at the time. The only way that he could talk about the things that were going on would be on stage was the best medium that they had. Robot comes from a Czechoslovakian word robota, which means worker. So essentially every time they were talking about robota, they were talking about workers. So very socialist type undertones to that. How this translates into the modern day, it's kind of a tall tale, a tale on a moral story really about greed and capitalism and the danger of biting off more than you can chew. The people that run Rossum's Universal Robots, they live on an island factory in the middle of nowhere. Nobody ever goes there. The humans that actually make it to the island, they either kill them off or they assimilate them kind of into their way of thinking, really, until this young girl named Helen arrives at the island.
Helen is an avant-garde, kind of how I would picture her today, as someone who's saving the whales, trying to save the environment, a go-getter, and so she's ultimately trying to free the robots. She sees them as people. She wants them to have a soul. She wants the whole world to see that they're just like us. You can almost look at it as back in the day with the whole slavery. She's fighting for these people who are oppressed, trying to save the world one robot at a time.
They look, sound just like humans. They'd be closer to what we would think of as androids or gynoids.
Then you kind of question, well, is my neighbor down the street a robot? Because they look human, but maybe they are a robot.
One of the things that really struck me was the feel of it, because the language in it is very stylistic, of like very similar to the 20s, and it really evoked to me a lot of the same ideas that you would kind of get from watching Metropolis.
Yeah, we talked about Metropolis. I think that was, for me, the easiest influence that I've had, that I've seen. The inspiration was sort of a futuristic, like 30s retro, kind of transplanting that 30s old Hollywood into the future. I think it's a different vision of the future than what people usually have.
Earlier literature did discuss, artificial life. This one actually took it a step further and basically forecast, the worst possible result of that.
Robot sex. Well, it is a modern adaptation. Robot sex. How do we have this conversation? What would happen if we had two robots who feel these urges for the very first time they've ever felt love, pain, a face, a hand, you bite your lip and it hurts. These robots, I don't want to give too much away, but I'll just say that they're anatomically correct, just in case.
Greed drives this piece in a lot of ways, and the end result of it. And it's a lesson piece.
So you look at the oil spill and you see how corporate blindness and these corporations who are only interested in numbers, and you see where that gets people. And on the other side you see where the fanatical environmentalist and the radical who want to set these robots free, and everywhere in between. Make love, not war. And that's the moral of this story. Make love, not robots. This influenced everything from Isaac Asimov to Philip K. Dick. We wouldn't have Blade Runner if it wasn't for Rossum's Universal Robots. I mean, everything, you'll just see everything from Doctor Who to Battlestar Galactica. Star Trek was a heavy influences in the tone.
Even if you aren't a sci-fi fan, this show has so many different dynamics to it. It has the love story, it has the fighting sequences, it has some really cool fighting sequences.
I think it's actually the best telling of this play that has ever been made.
We have got a hot young cast. Dave Stone Robb is directing. He comes right out of the San Antonio Shakespeare Company. So we're taking this as kind of really a piece of classic literature, because that's what it is, adapting it to a modern setting. We want to tell this story so that modern people can connect with it because it speaks to us, it transcends from 1921 all the way to 2010. I mean, that story, it could happen anywhere. Please come out to see RUR, Rossum's Universal Robots. We open the 18th at the Overtime Theater, 1414 South Alamo Street in the Blue Star Arts Complex. You can find us online at www.theovertimetheater.net.